quick apps part where you have created your own quick apps on vehicle management, and I've shown you what are all the tabs in the quick apps. This one is called this is a record. This is called an action. When you go inside this, you see something called as related action. Related action means you're doing some actions related to this record, and so it's called as related action. And here you can see the trends, which is graphs and everything. My tasks, which is like you can send the task to other person and other person can pick and work on this. So this is the other one. So basically totally 5 tabs can be customized, not more than that. So these are all the things with respect to Appian site, which we have built in quick apps. And then here comes admin console. This page is for branding, so all your logos, favicons and everything, the loading icons and everything, you will give it based on your brandings. And the next tab would be data retention. So data retention is nothing but okay, for any application which you develop in Appian, you need a DB. Okay, you are very clear about it, right? So same way for Appian itself, they need a database. Appian is a product, right? So for them itself, they need a database. That's how when we create an application, they're showing us all the things because there is a DB for everything. For Google search, for everything, there is a database. From there only we are getting all those data, right? It can be SQL or no SQL database. So data retention policy means how many days the data has to be stored in that Appian database. We can give it out here. Like you saw in the news feed, the news entry, right? News entry page, right? So this news entry, if you want to, if you click like allow to delete it for this many times, you can have it like this enabled. So you will be allowed to delete it. Okay.
Okay.
And coming to this periodic cleaning of deployment packages, which is like Appian has its own deployment packages, way of deploying, which I'll be covering out in the later part of the session. So this will help you in cleaning up of deployment packages.
Okay, gotcha.
How to clean up all those packages and everything. Okay.
Okay.
So this is something like you want to clean the data which is there with Appian. And file upload. File upload is nothing but right now you have seen, right? I've shown you a feature where you upload a file document from your local to Appian, right?
Yeah.
All the files will be stored in the Appian folders. All the files will be stored in the Appian folders. So when before you are uploading some file, you want the file to be scanned. Then you can give on virus scanning. Okay, suppose for example, if you want certain files to be blocked, for example, you want only PDF, text and docs files to be there and remaining has to be blocked, you can select it, only allow this for specified files and I don't want all other files. The remaining files like CMD, exe, back files, all those things you know it, you can just block it. And you can click the save changes. This change which you're making out here will be applicable to all the applications in your environment, which is not application specific.
Okay, got it.
The next one is the internationalization. Internationalization means you're giving some for this environment. Why is it you or not even for this environment? I'm giving some selected languages to in which language it should work, and what is the primary language of this environment, and which time zone it should work, Eastern time, and what is the calendar. If you see here, there are a lot of calendars followed across the globe, what calendar it should follow. So all these things I have to give here. Okay. So if I give it as allowed, so you see here in the user profile setting, if you click on setting, you will be having an internationalization again here, where you give your preferred language, time zone, calendars and everything. Okay.
Okay.
So if you want this value which you give in the user tab to override with the environment setting, you can give like always override user selected. You can enable this. Always, whatever time zone the user gives, this time zone should override the user selected one. If you want that kind of thing, you can give it this. And this will be applicable for again and again. Everything which you make changes here, it will be applicable for entire environment. So what
Okay.
it does is basically we don't enable this checkbox. If the based on the application we do it.
Got it.
Okay. The next tab would be mobile. So Appian is not an application which is web based. It can be also used in mobile, which is like your Apple and Android mobiles. So if you see it out here, you can enable push notifications. um, you can enable offline mobile. Offline mobile means like it does not store data which is like upload when you upload a document and all those data will not be stored, but to certain with the certain limitations Appian supports offline mobile apps also. Okay.
Yeah.
And the location capture like GPS, if you on your GPS, your location will be captured, and based on that also you can design something. So all these things are mobile specific. If you disable all these check boxes, all these features will not be working when you are designing there in your application.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So coming to permissions, if you see here, so when you okay, so when you want to access your Appian environment, you should be the user of this environment, right? So when you create a user, you should fill in proper basic details like username, email, password, who is your supervisor, and everything. So all those fields which are needed for you to create a user, you can customize here. So these are all the things. If you want, you can enable it out. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
And we see the quick apps, right? So when we create a quick apps, it needs some database sources. That data source I'm giving out here as JDBC Appian Tomcat. I have other sources also which I can select and give out.
Okay. Got it.
If you see any error in Appian as an end user, that error should not be shown. Only for the administrators this should be shown. If you want some error message like the system is under maintenance or something like that, you can enable this.
Okay.
And we saw some tempo, right? If you can also restrict the users from seeing as tempo. If you click on this edit user group and go inside, and you can remove that person from that group, they'll not be able to see here, they'll not be able to see tempo at all if you remove that person from a group. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
This is the other thing. And coming to, so I've shown you this plugins. Coming to plugins, I've shown you right in the app market. um, you can have some external plugins, right? So if you
Yeah.
want to deploy all those plugins, you have to come here, search for that plugin name. For example, let me give like regex. You want something with related to calendar. No, if I click on this and if I click on deploy, that plugin feature will be deployed in your environment and you can use that.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is one thing. And sign in pages. So when I sign into Appian, I'll have to give my username and password. When you try also, you have to give it. Apart from that, if you want any link from there to be enabled, then you have to give this link and that link URL. Based on that, you will be navigated to that particular URL. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I understand.
Site typefaces means is nothing but your font. What is font which you give to your site page?
Okay.
If you want to change the font, you can change it out here, and it's been given here. Use the start page. So when I log into Appian, what is the first page I have to see? So it is here in Appian, how it is like everything is not handled in users. For each and every user, we can't give permissions, right? We can put all the set of users of related permissions in a particular group and give them a permission, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For example, HR, there can be 10 HR, but all of them need same feature. It's not like specific person needs some specific different feature. So we put them in a HR group and we'll give the security for that HR group. Same way, when I log into Appian environment, which site page, which application page I have to first see. Suppose we have created one application, right? We have created this. Suppose when I log into this environment, I want to see only this. Then I have to give like, I have to give this URL as a start page. I have to copy paste this. For example, if I want to see only this, I'll copy paste this and I'll give which group, which is like LM administrator, some group I have to give. It's giving like URL is not a valid user start page. It's giving like, for example, this one. Let's have it this one.
Okay.
So this is a start form of your site. If any person from this group logs in, they'll see immediately only this page. They'll not see any other page.
Okay.
Okay. So this
Yeah.
is something like this. So so far we have seen everything related to a system. Now we are going to see everything related to authentications. So authentications means when we log into Appian, you should give some passwords. So what would be the for password for every system, for password giving there will be certain limits, right? It will be like a minimum this many characters should be there. This should be uppercase. This should be lowercase. Like that and all. You should have minimum limits. And yeah, if you want remember me feature, that will be there. If you are keeping your idle system idle for 120 minutes, it will not happen anything. It will not be logged off automatically. So if you want reset password within every month, you can configure it out here. So all these things you can set it out here. Okay, this is everything completely related to your Appian password.
Okay.
Now, this LDAP system and SAML system are interrelated. Let me explain you what is LDAP. So LDAP is nothing. You know anything about LDAP?
No, chill.
Okay. So if you work in a company like Cognizant, okay. So Cognizant will have its own Active Directory. They will have some software to maintain the employees directory. Every employee will be given an ID card with that employee ID, right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
their names will also be given, like this
Yeah.
person is this name, this person is this name. The names will also be given. For example, yesterday I can join the company and within a month I can also resign the company.
Yeah.
So when I join the company, I want to have an access in Appian. When I resign the company, my access should be revoked.
Yeah.
So all the applications should be designed in such way. Not only Appian, any tools or anything which that company is using, when the employee is onboarded, they'll get access. When that is revoked, they should remove that person from that particular environment. Otherwise, they'll be still having access, which is your security violation.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Same way, in Appian also you have a feature called LDAP. So LDAP, it will connect you to the company's Active Directory, and it will help to maintain the usernames, passwords of a company.
Okay.
Okay, Appian have its own application in the app market for LDAP. You have to download that application, deploy it in the Appian environment, and you have to give all the informations related to LDAP out here on your right side. You have to give all the informations related out that, and based on that, that feature will be enabled in real time. Okay,
Okay. Gotcha.
got it?
Yeah. Got it. Got it.
Maintenance window, which is like when you are going for deployment now, you want the environment to be down, so you give the user and down status, like this environment is down for now, schedule maintenance, it will be on soon, like that. So you can enable out here. And SAML means, for example, suppose you're working with client like Paraxel or IQVIA, which is, they have their own VM. Inside VM only you will work, right? Your end client is a banking client like Silicon Valley Bank, Goldman Sachs. Okay, your end
Okay.
client will be always your having their VM, right? When you log into
Yeah.
the
Their
VM,
machine.
and
Yeah.
if you give, sorry,
Yeah. Yeah. Their VM. particular machine only will work
Yes,
on
yes.
their
So
machine.
if you have that VM, you log in once inside the VM only. When you try to access your APN application, it should automatically you means without logging in with your username and password, it should automatically route to APN. That is called as SAML.
Okay.
You will be given automatic authorization.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So these are all the users, list of users in the environment, where when you want to create a user, you have to give like username, first name, last name, email address, and their title. What is their job title and everything? Everything is thing. There are two different types of user type. Okay, one is basic user, and another one is system administrator. System administrator is a person who will have access to everything, which is your admin console, your designer, your tempo, everything he will be having access. Okay. Basic user is a person, he will be having access only to that particular site page, or he should
Okay.
not access your designer admin console. Then he is basic user, which is like ideally business users or basic users, we developers or administrators, and you give a username and password based on which you can create a profile in API.
Okay.
Okay. So web API authentication. So what is web API? Web API is nothing but when you want to expose your APN objects, you have APN process model or interface. When someone want to use your APN data, you create a web API. Okay. So
Okay.
it's basically an integration between APN and your third party system.
Okay.
Okay, you're just integrating between APN and the third party system. So what happens is when you are integrating between two systems, you should give them proper authentication. Otherwise everybody will be using that, will be able to access that. That means like the system is not secured, only valid users should access that. It's where you create
Okay.
a service account. There are different types of authentications coming to integrations in the IT industry, which is
Okay.
basically basic user authentications, OAuth authentication, OAuth 2.0, 1.0. So different things are there. Okay. So in
Okay.
that, Appian supports OAuth 2.0 authentication, API key authentication, and basic user authentication. Three it supports. One thing is normal user which we have created there, right, in the previous tab. The user should be a basic user, and when I click on create here, I select that user. Okay.
Okay.
I select one basic user, I give him a description, and I click on create. What happens? Let me see. One key will be generated. Okay, this is called as API key. This key you will have it for authentication.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
That
got
is
it.
called as API key authentication
Okay. This is for only that particular user, right?
for web APIs,
Okay.
not for any other system. This is only for web APIs. Okay.
Okay.
You can activate it. See, I am going to deactivate it. I don't want this. I have created only for you, right? So I can deactivate it. I can reactivate it and everything. Okay. And OAuth is also similar. See here. I'll give some name. I'm giving a service account. So if I give a service account and descriptions here and I click on create, here what are all the things it's been there is apart from your API key, it is giving you a lot of informations like client ID,
Okay.
client secret ID, token endpoint. So these are all the things which you have to give it to the other users, other system users to access
Okay.
API. Okay,
Okay.
got it, Ranjit?
Yeah, got it. Got it.
I'm going to deactivate this also. Okay, coming to deployments. Deployment is nothing but you have to deploy Appian objects from here to outside thing. For that you have to maintain an infrastructure also. Means what are all the things that has to be imported and exploited, you can give it out here. I'll say you everything on this related to when it comes to deployment. Okay, and
Okay.
coming to health check is nothing but, so all the applications which you create in Appian might impact the performance of the application also, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So all those performance informations and everything you can check it out using health check. There will be one application called health check, one plugin called health check in your Appian community. You have to deploy that here, and you have to give some informations related to it. If you have deployed it and you have given some time, like every week this time it should run, every week the health check will be running, and it will give you an Excel sheet, okay, as an
Okay.
output. And in that output you will see how many users are using this environment, which rule is causing issue, which process model is causing issue, and everything. All these things this health check report will give you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in real time, for any person who is getting Appian license, for any any client, end client who is getting Appian license, what they will do is they will configure themselves the health check and give you. Mostly. If not, then you
Okay.
have to go to Appian community. See here, if you click on learn more, you will have some information about how to configure the health checks and everything. All those things you can do it. Since I have some trial versions, I don't have access to configure the health check, but in real time environment, we can configure it.
Okay.
So here also in this admin console, I can add, see here, this is nothing but when you want to deploy some code from one environment to another environment, what you have to do? You have to give that environment name, that environment URL. Every environment will have a URL, right? You have to give that, and you have to click on connect. Okay. Once you click on connect, a task will be assigned to the persons in that group, that environment. They will approve it. Once it is approved, the connection is established between this environment and that environment, where you can deploy objects.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
Yeah,
Ranjit,
yeah, got it.
hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can't hear you,
Hello.
Ranjit. Are you speaking?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you now.
Hello. Oh.
Okay. So next comes the integrations. This one we normally don't use. Integrations, you have certain object called integrations on that will help you to integrate. That is better and best for you. This we normally don't use.
Okay.
This one, data source. So when you have a schema, except the JDBC Appian schema, rest all the schemas, if you have to connect it to Appian to access that data source. This is a place where you connect it to Appian. You just give the name of the JDBC connection, what type of database it is, like MySQL, SQL Server, or Oracle, and every database connection will have its own username and password, where you have to give it out that, and the
Yeah.
connection string, which you have to construct it in this format. See here, this is a sample connection string, JDBC, the database is MariaDB, and you have a database with a port number. Every database system will have a port number, which you will give it out, and you have to give this metadata behavior, which is true. And this is the schema name, you have to give it out. That's how you construct a connection string, and you can test it out.
Okay.
If you test it out, you can access that data source from Appian applications. I will say you how to access and everything. This is how you have to make an initial connection.
Okay.
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 So this document extraction. So document extraction is nothing but, um, The next page is the document extraction. So Appian has its own one application called as IDP. Okay, IDP is nothing but intelligent document processing. This tab is specific for that application, where suppose you have some different, you have 100 sets of, see, in IT industry you have lot of documents, right? All those documents you can't read it out to find the information. So what the Appian did it means, they collaborated with Google Cloud for storage and for machine learning, where what they does is like, if you give one document, Appian machine learning, the Google machine learning system will have predefined learning for 5 set of documents, just purchase order, invoices, and certain things. Okay, you can train that machine learning system also with the documents. But initially, by default, 5 systems will be there. Later, then, if you submit any documents of this type, Appian itself will segregate that documents into these 5 types. If not, if anything is of different format, then it will ask you what is the format. If you select any of this 5, it will segregate, and based on that the machine will be started learning. This basically a concept of machine learning.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all those applications, when you want to deploy an Appian, you will do this. And the next one is the email. If you want email communications between from and to Appian, then you give one email. Embedded interface is nothing but a concept where you want to embed sale interfaces to another page. Means you have a third party site, for example Silicon Valley Bank. Okay, they have their own web page. If they want
Yeah.
to embed Appian form or actions in that screen, they can use for embedded interface.
Okay.
Legacy web service is like nothing. It's a very old thing, which is a replacement of web API, which is not needed for you mostly. Logging is nothing but for every integrations. If you want logs to be captured, what is the error and everything, you can enable this and save the changes.
Logging
Microsoft
mostly
Office
for
Outlook.
the APIs, right?
Uh,
This logging.
Tell me.
Logging is for the APIs, right?
Yes, this for APIs and integrations. This Microsoft Office task viewer add-in, which is nothing but you have to download this file and you have to means you have to add this as an add-in to your Microsoft Outlook. If you do this, what happens is it will take some 1 day to get it configured. Once that everything is set, you can from that email only you can take the Appian tasks. You can log in and take that Appian task. This is again a feature where you can cover your end client, like you no need to log into Appian from your email page only. You can log in and you can take the task like that. If that has to be configured to all the persons instead of one of yours inbox only, then it has to be, you have to be an admin for your Outlook, where you have to do some steps to follow to make that happen. Third party credentials, this is not needed mostly. And monitoring, coming to monitoring, who is using the system when, and everything will be there. Documents, how many documents are there, how many number of users are there in the environment, who has uploaded documents, all these things will be traced here. Import history means any plugins or any applications just deployed into Appian for last 30 days, all this information which you see in monitoring or for last 30 days only.
Okay.
If you see rule performance, there is a lot of rules interface. I'll explain you a lot of objects tomorrow. A lot of objects and rules are there. Okay, based on that, average execution times and everything will be shown.